No Man's Sky. If you just happen to click on this, this is actually part three in a series telling how to play this game. It's somewhat complicated, but for the purpose of this video, I've named it No Man's Sky. Please feed the animals, then pick up their poop. Now, you may be thinking that sounds ridiculous, but if you stay tuned, you'll see what I'm talking about. And so basically what I was discussing in part two, there was a secret discussed toward the end of that clip, and that's going to be updated in this video. What I'm doing here is that I'm continually updating a ship that I attained for no cost. It's a ship that had crashed that had immense damage, and so damage happened to my other ship, and so I decided to take this one because it had additional slots available to it. And so what I'm showing here is that anytime you see this plant, it contains oxygen. And so it's very good to, anytime you see this plant, to collect it, because oxygen basically will repair your life support. If your life support gets depleted, you will die in this game, and death comes at a consequence. And so you always want to keep ample supply of this. It doesn't even hurt you to keep it on your ship too. Just in the event that you die, then that way you don't have to go around scavenging. You can use what's left on your ship. Or if your ship crashes and you have some on your ship, it's a good thing to have some on your person as well. So that way you always have some available, because you're going to need that to replenish your life support system in your jetpack. Another ingredient that you're going to need is this dihydrogen. Now, it can be transformed into an energy to use in your life support system, but it's more or less what I use it for is jet fuel. Because of constantly landing and moving around, you go through jet fuel, and you're going to need that to take off from a standing position. So it's always important to keep a good supply of that. Here I am flying around. In some cases, like if you're looking for materials, sometimes it's better to just fly around, because you can see various things, you get a better point of view. And like if you're looking for copper deposits or something like that, they're orange, silverish in color. Also, those orange little blotches that you see here and there are sodium-rich plants. So if you find a big patch of those, it's not a bad idea to stop and grab those, because they will basically replenish your shields on your ship. So when you get ready to go into outer space and you have a battle going on, those can be used to repair your shields. And if you don't have any, then your shields will eventually go down, and you're going to be in a world of hurt if that happens. And so basically I'm making my way through this area, and I come to this little odd-looking station of some kind. Now, this is actually the first of two. This one is different from the second one because there's no exterior buildings. I still don't know what this thing actually does. It looks like it's some kind of holographic station of some kind, but it doesn't do anything for me at this point in the game. But I thought it was odd, and so I thought I'd take a clip of it and just show you what it looked like. So what I show in this clip is that I'm gathering copper from a copper deposit, and you'll need the Terran manipulator, which comes later on. When you first start out this game, you won't have this. You'll have to acquire it, and then you have to fuel it, and so on and so forth. And but what I'm doing is I'm gathering this copper so then I can make chromatic metal. And I believe at this point of the game, there's more materials that will create chromatic metal, but copper is the one that's first available. in order to make that. And so that's what I'm doing. You'll see here where I take the copper to the refinery thing that I built to convert the copper into the chromatic material. And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking it and put it in on my person, transferring it from my ship inventory to my person in order to take it over to the refiner to create the chromatic metal. You can see I've already had some sitting out there. So that's another point that I want to make in this, is that you can set this refinery up and then start it, make sure it's got enough fuel to where it'll complete, and then you can click out of that. Once you've got it set up, you can click out of that and let the refiner run without having to sit there and babysit it. So, you can basically save some time by, refining products and then walking off and leaving it. Because you can see there's like about a minute and a half, so it gives you free time. You click out of that and it'll continue to run unattended. Okay, so in this clip, showing the picking up the animal poo. And as you'll see as I go forward with this, you'll see the animals. There's one animal right there that I fed. There's a bunch of different kinds of animals. And another thing to note is that some of the animals will require a specific material that you'll need to have in order to be able to feed them. And so it's going to vary somewhat. But basically, they take a crap and it's this red goopy stuff. And the reason why I'm collecting this is because I followed that signal in order to figure out what the antimatter thing is that I discussed in part 2. This is right where that freighter. That's where the signal led me to, is this old crashed freighter. And so I have to feed these animals to get the material that I need to open up these cargo pods that are buried. I don't show the video pertaining to that. Basically you just open up your visor to determine where the cargo pods are at, and then you open them up. Once you have the materials, then you open them up. Right here I'm gathering cobalt because that's what's needed to feed these other animals that I find, because it turned out that I didn't have enough of that poo stuff to make the materials that I needed to open up the cargo pods. I found some additional cargo pods, and so I'm acquiring this cobalt so I can feed these larger animals, because my vision was that, well, I feed a larger animal, they're going to make bigger poo piles. And so that's what I did, because I wasn't sure just how much of this material I was going to need. And so I figured, well, we'll knock it out, we'll be sure. And so I go around and I start feeding them. And sometimes, when you haven't fed them, they will run from you. And so it kind of can be somewhat of a challenge sometimes. But then a lot of times once you start feeding them, then they'll gather, there will be a bunch of them that'll start coming around you, because, they're looking for food. So it's kind of a unique game in that way, where it's kind of almost got a mind of its own. There you can see just took a crap. And so I'm looking to see how much I've got, how much I'm going to need, replenishing my life support. And here I am picking up the poo. So it's kind of comical, but... And so here I'm gathering it. And this has to do with following that signal. And what's odd is that once I got all the cargo pods, I still didn't have any clue as to where I was supposed to go to the antimatter. I'm basically running around lost. And so I thought all hope was lost, and I was over there at that freighter, and I decided to do a ground scan, which is done by using your left joystick and just pressing down. And once I did that, I got this signal, and so I thought, well, the description said to follow the signal, so I said, wow, this must be where I get the antimatter. And it's one of these stations that's got those dinosaur eggs laying around, and so I'm going in there, it's giving me like a real creepy feeling doing this, but and say, well, this is where I got to go in order to figure this thing out. And so I pull this stuff off. That's another clue too, because initially I was thinking that I had to repair this and get more anti-goop in order to put it in there to repair it, but it's actually done by pulling the goop off. And you basically get into this thing, and what it does is it gives me some antimatter, and then it gives me the code to make the container in order to put the antimatter in. So it doesn't, at this point, it does not give me the code to make the antimatter, but I'm one step closer, and then it gives me some rambling code 161616 repeat. And here's the antimatter housing new formula to where I can now create this little gadget. So at this point, oh, and then it seems to me that it's telling me to currently go hyperspace, because now I've got this warp fuel to where I can hyperdrive. So that'll be coming up in the next video. This is the clip that shows the other weird outpost type structure with the two additional buildings. It was different from the first one, and so in closing, I thought I'd show you what that looked like. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if any of my findings have helped you play this game, please let me know so in the comment section. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Brought to you by Mental Vacation in association with Ray TV.